Hey there. So we're sticking through this until the end of the school year. And I decided to make this video on some of the insights I've had that kind of motivates me to go on and an idea that I was contemplating to help us all during a time like this to make our meaningful time more meaningful in a collaborative way. So we are doing online, right? And the first thing that's online leads us to do is have a confrontation of medium, right? So we had an presential setting with kids together. It's a medium. Think of it as movies that can show on the cinema or can show on the TV, but there's two movies, right? So we had one medium before there was the classroom, and now we're moving to a different medium, which is online, right? And each medium has its ups and downs. And it's impossible for you to try to replicate the same experience from the user perspective, from the student perspective. We can't replicate the same experience. So we have to reinterpret what we do. And if we try to reinterpret by trying to do the same thing, we're taking away from our possibilities. Let me illustrate it to you with what happened in art. Wow, art. Yeah, check this out. So this is an reinvention of mediums. This is a photograph. When the photograph was invented, people thought that art would die, that artists, painters, that their sole job was to put into the canvas a reality. They were illustrating reality. And once photography was invented in the beginning of the 19th century, people thought that art would die. But what actually happened to art was a reimagination of what art was. Because photography was invented, then Impressionism was invented. Photograph freed artists to be able to go away from reality. And it started with Impressionism, Van Gogh and Monet. And look, now there's no necessity for nature to look like nature does for everyone. Now it's how nature does for me. And it moves on, to Picasso and Cubism, and then it moves on to Surrealism and total abstraction. So this is all nature, right? So the shift on the medium, the creation of a new way of showing the old way allows us to create something different. And not because it's different, it's better or worse, it's different. What I'm trying to say is if you try to just fit your old classroom into the online, you are not going to ever be as good as the photograph. Trying to fit your old classroom is trying to create with art the photograph, and you're never going to match it. What you can do is open up your mind and be creative and try to use the medium in the best way possible, so then you can reach further and touch your kids' lives in ways that truly matter. So that's the first point of this video. First, if you allow yourself during the spring break, now this is happening, it's long term. For my kids to get the best, we need to shift a mindset of what we're doing. And the more I think we swallow this idea, the better we can move on. The second thing that I wanted to share is one of the best ways for us to move on, one of the things that make this medium special is that we can collaborate in different ways. What we are all going to be doing, we're all going to be producing content. Every time we're meeting with a kid, it's not just a meeting, you're producing content. Here in Zoom, if you push the record video, you're creating content. And it's not necessarily content that you're going to share online with YouTubers or whatever. It's content for us. It's a resource for other teachers and a resource for other students. So if students that already have their, video permission signed, you can just, ask again, oh, I'm going to record this lesson, whatever. So I've been doing that. And what I created is an online conference folder in the drive. Right, so every time I meet in a conference with a kid and I'm getting to my teaching point, or I'm going to a practice, I'm going to record this, okay, record. And then I'm creating a digital library of little 2-minute instructional videos that not only I can use now to reference kids to watch it, kids that have the same teaching point can watch that as a review, or I can use that in the future. Think like this, you're creating videos for the future. I'm going to be doing that with ELD. in my classroom, I never have time to get to the designated ELD time. I'm going to have conferences with designated ELD kids, 5-10 minute little quick lesson, and I'm going to record all of them. In the future, if I'm doing centers or whatever, I can send kids to the computer and they look and they hear the lesson that I've done with this class this year. I have this library of teaching points on designated ELD that not only I can use now, I can use in the future. So, and not only I can use now and in the future, I can have other people use it, so they don't have to be creating the same thing. If we are collaborative about the kind of contents we're creating, we don't have to be all of us reinventing the wheel and getting overburned trying to cover all the curriculum. If, you know, I'm doing, for instance, I did this reading lesson. This is the writing. I did a writing lesson, and I named it informational review. So I'm doing the first topic is informational, and the next is the teaching points. It's how teaching kids how to review their work, to use a checklist to review. So I did that mini lesson with a group of kids, and now I have this in my library. Now, if you are teaching in your classroom and I share you this video, you can refer kids that need help with reviewing, you can refer them to this video. And we've all do these little teaching points of across. The problem is I can't do that with everything. For my own sake, what I'm doing is I'm outsourcing, right? For math right now, I'm referring them to a video that another teacher did. But we all here share the same curriculum and are facing the same issues. Imagine that we have all this library across schools of resources that we can use to inform our own teaching, have ideas that we can refer kids to watch so they can learn and practice. So what I'm doing is that I'm recording and I'm just dumping here on this file. Look at this. I'm just going to do a quick show on how am I dumping things here. Let me just share your screen in a different way. I'm going to share the whole desktop with you. And now here is a Zoom meeting that I just finished, and I did a teaching point, a reading point there. So I'm just going to drag that and I'm going to drop it into the reading folder. And there you go. It's loading up into my drive. Once it's all loaded up and ready, I'm just going to rename it. I'm going to do level D. There was the level book that we were reading, the level that that girl is. Level D, forgot what the teaching point was. So, and that's going to be there. So next time I have a D, I can just refer the kid or go back to it in the future. And it's also a library for afterwards. So this is just a way for us to think forward, sharing our resources and making the word easing the load on everyone else. Hope this was useful to you. I'll come back with more later. Bye-bye.